Well, good morning, guys. It is 12/4/12 at 10:24 a.m. Finally got my Tinkerbell fixed last night and got over my little pouting episode from the day before. And while we were talking, she brought up something that was very interesting, and it's uh, it's something that really needs to be discussed. There's a lot of people out there that are giving a bunch of controlling information on ascension and telling people there's this whole hierarchy and almost like a religious aspect that you got to follow, which is a bunch of baloney. Um, that is not how it is. And it's interesting because I'm seeing the same rewiring, reprogramming that we're going through. Hotmail, YouTube, um, uh, Firefox, and a couple of other different programs has all changed and rewired everything and just screwed it all up. And it's almost like the rewiring that's going on within us right now. And we're going to have several more of these rewirings in the days to come. We've got a little quiet time right now with the solar flares and incoming CMEs, but that's soon to change. Well, anyway, back to what Tank was saying. There are so many people that are, I call them corporate light workers, because they're trying to guide and control and make a lot of money off of the ascension process. And truly all one has to do, and this is really what's affecting so many of the persons that are waking up right now, and they're starting to realize that their religion is not right and their government's not right, and something's wrong with what's going on, and they are at a vibration, looking to their exterior into the illusion for the teachers, and they're picking up something that's just a slightly higher vibration than they themselves are. And that's how it works. The law of attraction always puts you in a similar situation as to the vibration that you hold and the thoughts and perceptions that you entertain. And anyway, what's happening with many of these people is they're getting led down this path of things that are just simply not true. I've had people come to me and say, are you vegan?" No, I eat meat. "Are you absolutely chemical and drug free?" "Yeah, I smoke a little weed every now and then, and I'll probably drink a bottle, maybe a bottle and a half of wine a night. And Jesus did too. Buddha did too." So to become an ascended master, you know, that's a whole bunch of baloney that you have to be pure. You're not trying to become a saint. All you're doing is you're turning within into your heart, and you are changing your thoughts, your perceptions, your limitations. You are consciously asking for more light to infiltrate the body and to raise the frequency of your being. And no, your diet is not how you get to ascension. When I was in Hopi Land, an old friend of mine, Roy Littleson, who taught macrobiotics, and he was one of the leading macrobiotic teachers. He was there on Titus Forum with me, and he said the key to ascension is in the rice. Baloney. The key to the ascension is in your heart. The key to the ascension is to realize that everything that you experience in life is a reflection of the thoughts, the perceptions, and the vibration that you entertain. You're going to have, by law of attraction, that exact reflection coming back to you. I even watched Ron Van Dyke's post this morning, and for a little while I read most of it, and then I finally went, not there yet. That's because people do attract what's going on in their life. And the thing is you cannot say it's just from this life. We've all been here for many lives. And I know the churches teach, for you who are newly awakened right now, I know churches teach you have one life to live and then you go to judgment. Well, you do this every single life. You are a spiritual being having a physical incarnation so you can experience all that is in the lower dimensional realities, that separation from God. And that separation from God puts a veil up that you cannot see beyond, so it's difficult for newly awakening people to remember their past lives. You might have some deja vus in different places, or some memories of skills and abilities that you have, or languages that you spoke, or sometimes deja vus with other people that are within your life. This is all part of the process. This is all part of your awakening and your remembering, a dismemberment being put back together of who you are. And you must realize that you are spirit, and you are inhabiting this body. This body is not who you are. You are that spirit, that light that you feel within inside you. And for ascension, you have to identify with that, and to lose the perceptions of this life is being done to me. Because no, you were creating it, and you have been creating it from many lives before. You have been developing these personalities that you experience right now, although you might have been French last time, or Chinese before, or in African American, or an African before that. You are you have many different lives that has built this personality that you're experiencing right now. And yes, this where you grew up in, the family you grew up in, the location you grew up in, also has a lot to do with your outlook of things. You have to become detached from that, because all that is the exterior illusion which teaches you the lessons that you need to learn for soul growth. It also, since we're all doing this and we're all individual like fingerprints, we are all feeding the mind of God, feeding the Akash, helping God to experience all that is. The one creator that we are all a part of. There is no consciousness, nothing, not even a grain of sand that is left out of all that is. It is all that is. All that is God. All that is who you are and what you need to make connection with. But to make that connection, you have to break down this perception that you're separate. And to do that, you really have to realize that everything that's outside of that energy that you feel, that light that you feel in your heart, that consciousness, what you truly are, not the thinking and duality of the brain, but the pure states of consciousness, that who you are and who I am, that is the real us. And we have to get back to that point. And the way that you get back to that point is by recognizing and changing your perceptions of what keeps you contained and boxed in within that field. You expand your consciousness. And and so, you know, there's so much to that. What foods you eat is not going to stop or limit your perception. What will happen as you have limiting diets, or diets of lower vibration, like you do eat meat, as you raise your frequency, the more you do things that have either lower vibrations or more density or toxification, it will affect your physical being, and you're going to feel pains, and you're going to raise your frequency by incorporating more and more light, more and more of who you are, the great spiritual being that you've only got just a little bitty part of in this physical being. And you are bringing as much of that spirit in light into this physical being as you possibly can. That is going to raise your frequency. That is also going to change the way you think and the way that you look at things. And there are different levels of that. It's just like layers to an onion. They are different dimensional layers of consciousness and understandings that you will have as you go through this process. And meats and chemicals, and I was a mechanic and a machinist and gold miner and jeweler and blah 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 blah. I had my hands in chemicals constantly, and those chemicals absorbed into this body. The very same thing as diet, by putting in say GMO foods or steaks with antibiotics or something like that in it. Those chemicals do affect this physical being. It is not necessarily gonna keep your consciousness contained. And it's that consciousness which is the key to ascension. It's the vibration which is the key to ascension. It's not the foods that you put in. It is the thoughts that you entertain. It is your perception of what God is, what you are, what it takes to raise your physical frequency. Now, back to the detoxing. It took me 10 years of detoxing as my frequency was increasing to finally get this body cleansed. Now, I spent probably a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years of being pretty strict in my diet. Definitely a good year and a half. And eating more macrobiotically, more grains and sea vegetables and some beans and legumes and stuff like that. A lot of salads. And once my body became detoxed, I was pretty much able to do whatever I want to now without having the physical pains thereafter from whatever it is I eat. It is no difference than the guru that's in the cave in India that takes a glass full of mercury and chugs it down and says, see what you can do? It's not going to kill me. It's the same thing with you. It is your thoughts and your perceptions of that. And I haven't really played with it, but just like a lot of people might empower their food by prayer before they eat it, just like empowering your water and sending it love, you might be able to totally transmute that. I just enjoy good food and what I have on my plate at whatever time, and I'm not too much thinking about that as I do it, and that's just something in the way I've always been. So anyway, yeah, I did not grow up in a family where you always had prayers as you sat down to eat. Now, my grandparents were a different story, but praying to food was not something that I ever really did, and that's kind of hung on to me now. Anyway, we are in a state of another mass awakening going on right now, where a lot of religious people and those that are behind their country and we're number one, those type of ego-based people are starting to open their hearts and realize maybe that way of training that we were led into by the controllers, the Illuminati, was not necessarily the right thing. And these guys are waking up and they are looking for what is out there. And they're realizing that the ascension might be the same as the rapture that they were, speaking of in the Christian religious circles. and it is. I consider the rapture the actual feeling of the bliss and the ecstasy from chakra activations, opening the 7 seals. And actually, you're not opening the 7 seals to master. Opening was as far as you could get back, well, before 1992. If you activated, you couldn't even activate. You couldn't even activate your heart chakra before then and remain on this planet because the dimensional frequencies did not match. If you activated your chakras and go through the process of, the same thing that I described with my field feeling like this, then just like Melchizedek or Enoch, you would have been taken in a whirlwind. Elijah, there's many of the great masters that ascended off planet because they went through these processes. Now, as 1992, you could actually activate your heart chakra and activate your heart chakra, not just open it. And the original of the 7 chakras, opening and activating the 7 seals, and you could create an energy field around you that so many of us are experiencing now and remain on planet. And it's that which is bringing the light into this planet. It is that which is so critical for Mother Earth's ascension. Well, anyway, I could go on for an hour about this, but it's not diet, people, and the keys to everything you want to know is found within your heart. If it does not resonate with you, if it doesn't feel right, then discard it. If it does, then take a hold of it and own it. And And that's just how it works. Become your own master. Don't follow anyone. There are no gurus anymore. Anyway, bye for now, guys. Love you all.